I always tell customers, shop around and take the best deal. If when you come to me, you say, listen, Mr. Wigan, over there, so give me 5% and then lend me 100%. I will say, boy, go on. Can't compete with that, but no good banker is going to offer you something that's going to put you in a worse position. But it's very competitive and therefore negotiate. Fees and all of that are always a big deal. Negotiate. But you guys have to start early. I remember buying my first house. Your age was a factor. At least for Scotiabank these days, if you're 95 years old, you can get a 30-year mortgage.
Hello Throppers, and welcome back to another video podcast episode. And if this is your first time visiting, a special welcome to you. My name is Winthrop Wellington and I am the host of On Deck with Throp, where we have meaningful conversations with people from all over the world all about Jamaica. And today you are watching a clip from my annual Jamaica Investment Conference, ThropX 2022. And we are graced with the presence of Mr. Cary Wiggins, who is the manager of Scotiabank Negril. And he talks about a variety of different aspects of getting loans, specifically mortgage loans more than anything else. There's a lot of questions fielded by the audience members as well that I think many people are thinking of in their head, trying to understand the process, the qualification mechanisms that are in place to achieve getting a mortgage loan, and he does a great job of explaining that all. And before we get into the rest of the video, I just want to let you know that ThropX 2023 tickets are for sale, and it's going to be from November 13th to November 17th. We've extended an extra 2 days by popular demand. It's going to be a really, really great one, having a lot of great speakers come back and a lot of new ones as well based on the feedback that we've been having. ThropX 2022 was absolutely successful, and we're looking to be even more successful year 2023. So without further ado, please enjoy this conversation with Mr. Cary Wiggins from ThropX 2022.
So a lot of people hear about a mortgage, and as young people get more exposed to assets and what they want to own, they have to start thinking about this as well. Now, before I think of going to a financial institution to get a mortgage, what would you tell anybody as they start thinking about this process?
All right, thanks. One of the first things we encourage persons to do is start early. They find out what you can afford before you start looking. Just to give you an idea, it may turn out that what you think you can buy, you just can't afford. So what we encourage persons to do at Scotiabank, for example, is to do what we call become pre-qualified.
Pre-qualified. All right. Okay.
It takes, if you provide all the information that we need, you can get a pre-qualification letter in 24 hours. What do we need?
Right.
The biggest challenge for any loan, not just a mortgage, is determining your ability to pay. That comes from your earnings, what other obligations you have, do you have other loans, credit cards, dependents. So we ask you all of that information. For the person who has a pay slip, who is what we call salaried, you get a pay slip, whether weekly, monthly, whatever, it's pretty easy. Send us a couple of your pay slips, we crunch a few numbers, we ask you some questions, and we can tell what you can qualify for. To give you an example, most banks have a percentage of your income which they will be comfortable with you paying to service debts. Example again, my salary per month is 100,000. Generally, we'll go up to 40%. We can go up to 60. Conditions apply, you know, the fine print as usual. Probably wouldn't be able to go into all the details in a forum like this, but that's a good guide. So I earn 100,000 per month. The bank will allow me to spend 40,000 of that 100,000 servicing loans. So if you have a loan already paying for, you have a car loan, and you're paying $20,000, then the most we will allow you to pay for your mortgage would be $20,000. $20,000 for the vehicle, $20,000 for the car, $40,000 out of your $100,000 gross income.
20 for the vehicle, 20 for the mortgage.
Right, right. It adds up to 40% of your salary. So let's say, for example, I really, really want this house now and it's 40,000. I say, boy, you know what? I'm going to take bus. So I sell the car, pay off the loan. So now I no longer have that $20,000 debt to serve that $20,000 a month going towards my car loan. So I can now afford a mortgage where the monthly payment is $40,000. The other side of it is, and I'm focusing a lot on income, guys, because we find there's a misconception at times that, boy, I'm buying a house value 100 million, you know, why, and I only want 5 million to borrow. Why is the bank giving me such a hard time? The bank is not going to lend you $5 million if you can't afford to pay it back, no matter what the security is. Reason being, St. Aubin and the gentleman from Valerie Levy, they are in the business of real estate. Banks are not. So although we could, persons are saying in their mind, well, you can sell the house and pay off the loan easy. Why are you giving me such a hard time? We really don't want to do that. That's the very last resort. So anybody comes to me or my loan officer, the first thing we want to know is what you're earning and what are your obligations. That's the first. If you can't service the loan, in our opinion, we don't even bother to ask you about security. We may well try to direct you somewhere else. Maybe we may ask if you want to join with somebody to increase the income. So there are options, but guys, I would say to you the very first thing is to determine affordability. Can I pay for this home that I want to buy?
If there's a house, you know, a home that I want to own in Jamaica, but I am based overseas, or, you know, I am not a Jamaican at all.
Good question.
How do I get filtered into the system?
Okay. Again, persons, non-residents, we call them. We do finance mortgages for non-residents, but there are a lot of conditions. I have to warn you. There, for example, we only officially finance vacation homes or second properties. And we only do 75% of the value or the purchase price, whichever is lower. While if you're a resident and you're buying your primary residence here in Jamaica, and by the way, resident means, don't quote me, working, living, and a citizen of Jamaica. Okay. Just to divert a little, recently had a situation, of course, with all of what's happening with people working from home and the technology, people can live here and be employed in China. Yes. So there's a little gray area there, and I figure that eventually the bank will look at it because things are changing. But these policies were set when you usually lived where you worked. Okay. So the overseas person, it's 75% of the value, while if you are a resident of Jamaica, up to 95% of the value of the property. So we lend you more. Reason? The overseas person is considered a slightly higher risk than the person living here in Jamaica. Ways around it, quickly again, we have had persons who may join with somebody who lives here in Jamaica, and they can qualify that way. So again, my word to you, especially these days, shop around, speak with your banker. Because it's so competitive, you know, everybody's trying to make it work for the client. So although I can tell you what the policy is, for example, I did say it's 75%. Let's say you say, boy, things tight, you know, you can't go 80. Again, I may be able to swing it. You know, we make some, look at the conditions, look at the circumstances.
If I have good credit.
You have good credit, you know, your debt service is way down. In other words, it's a very small percentage of your salary or your income that you're going to use to service this debt. So maybe you're a better risk than the person who is just on the border of the 40%. So, you know, there are options that you can look at.
And Noel would have alluded to it a little earlier in terms of if I've been overseas for the last 20 years and all of these changes have happened with the National Housing Trust. So now, you know, clearing up all of that and getting formalized with them, what is that process like now?
I'm not as au fait with how NHT handles it. As I think Noel was saying, I'm not sure. You have to now be seen to be paying it consistently.
For 12 months.
But once we get confirmation from the NHT that you qualify for X amount, then you're good to go. We work along with NHT. If you get 12 million from NHT and you want another 30 million from us, we don't care. As long as 40% of your salary or less can pay it, we'll lend you.
Earlier you mentioned sometimes, or ways around it would be to join with somebody. Do we have to have the same last name? Do I have to be her daughter or her cousin? That whole joining with somebody, tell me.
Right, short answer, no.
No what?
Can join with anybody.
Anybody?
Yeah.
All right.
And again, you know, as things have changed over the years, things are competitive. I remember buying my first house. Your age was a factor. At least for Scotiabank these days, if you're 95 years old, you can get a 30-year mortgage.
And I don't, hold on, and I don't have to go do no medical. Hold on, and he also said I don't have to do a medical if I'm 95 years old. Wow, I just have to show you that I can pay for it.
Just have to show that you can pay. So that's a big selling point for us. And not to denigrate the other institutions. It's competitive. So because I am confident of our product, I always tell customers, shop around and take the best deal. If when you come to me, you say, listen, Mr. Wigan, over there, so give me 5% and then I lend me 100%. I would say, boy, go on. Can't compete with that. I would have to go to my boss now and say, listen, we need to look at our policies. But no good banker is going to offer you something that's, well, are supposed to offer you something that's going to put you in a worse position. Right? But it's very competitive and therefore negotiate. Fees and all of that, always a big deal. Negotiate. But you guys have to start early because what we find, again, I've had several situations where, for example, it's coming to deadline time when you have to produce what we call an undertaking and things are just running behind. They have issues with encroachments, issues with, you know, caveats on the property, all sorts of things. So the main thing is to start early and find a good officer who will communicate with you. You can reach at any time of the day because it's a lengthy process, can be a fairly traumatic process, can also be a very smooth process.
Well, in terms of this process, tell me what are some of these steps and why does it take long, if it ever takes long?
Yes, it does sometimes. Process. I've identified my property and I want to, and this is the one I want to purchase.
All right.
You come to Scotiabank, we'll ask you for your earnings, your salary. We pull a credit report which tells us if you have other obligations elsewhere, and then we work out, do the math. Yes, you do qualify, you can make it. We're then going to ask you for a valuation of the property. That again can take 2 days, it can take 3 weeks, depending on the valuator. Your attorney would have to prepare a sale agreement. Again, you have attorneys and you have attorneys. One attorney will generate the sale agreement in 2 days, another one will take 2 weeks. Fine, we have that and we have the valuation. You know, you have situations, for example, again, where the valuation is more or less, is less than the purchase price. But you want this place, so you're saying, I'm willing to pay more than the value. The banks are going to use the value, the lower one, to determine the amount we will lend you. So you may find that you have to input more because we're going to lend you based on the value.
Valuation report.
Right, the lower of the value or purchase price.
Oh, okay.
So if the purchase price is lower, we'll use the purchase price. If the value is lower, we'll use the value of it. Okay, so where are we now? So we have all the information, we have the sale agreement, you have proof of your input because you have to fine 5% if you're a resident of Jamaica. If you're a non-resident, you have to fine 25%. So you're going to tell me you have it in an account, you send me a bank statement, whatever, so you're good. Or maybe you're selling another property, so it's not quite ready yet, but you know, you can send me the sale agreement, you can give me an update to tell me where exactly you are in that process. The funds will be available in the next 2 weeks. Go ahead. So we put the application, takes, I would say give us 2 weeks 3 weeks to get it approved. Again, you may say, why taking so long? It's a conveyor belt, and the way banks work nowadays, we don't actually make decisions in the branch. We basically find the business, put it together, and send it to another unit who goes through it, checks the credit report. Maybe if you have banking information elsewhere, that is also looked at. So that process itself can take a few weeks. So let's say 3 weeks. After that, because normally the sale agreement gives you 60 days, sometimes 90 days from the signing to produce an undertaking. The undertaking is simply a letter from the bank saying to the seller that we have agreed to provide X amount to John Brown upon transfer of this property to John Brown. And so once the undertaking is prepared and sent over, then the ball is now in the seller's court to go and make sure they have paid up the property taxes, the light bill, the water, well, not the light, the water, to go and deal with whatever issues there are on the title. Again, let me give a few examples of what could be some stumbling blocks. Let me see one that comes to mind easily. Encroachments. Yes, where your property is supposed to stop right here, but it goes another 10 feet, 20 feet into someone else's property. The person would have to consent to going ahead. Or you, the buyer, would have to consent, if the seller is okay with it, and usually they are, to taking the property as is. You may say, no man, I want my extra 20 feet. No, that's going to cause a lot of delays. Yeah, lawyers get involved. Oh yes, the lawyers smile when that happens. But it can be overcome. If it's a small encroachment, you know, I had that experience with the last property I purchased. It was just, it's a triangle shape and the fence is a little bit out. You know, me and the neighbor nice, he's a nice guy. No problem. Push come to shove, you move in the fence a little bit. You know, we know the thing. So that's one. Another one are caveats or liens on the property. There's a matrimonial issue, and one party has placed a caveat so the property can't sell, where the husband, well, should we be gender specific here, but one party is trying to sell it without the knowledge of the other party. And again, that's a problem. Let me see if I can think of another one. One of the parties has died of the names on the title, and it's not yet reflected on the title. That has to be taken care of. But usually, if your seller has a good attorney, and guys, try not to do this without an attorney. It can be done, but boy, sometimes you may have done 5 properties with attorney. I say, you know what, this time I can't bother pay this man this whole heap of money. I'm going to do it myself. And you can, you know. You can download a sale agreement, or you can look at the last one you had and just change some stuff. But that may be the one where there's something that you didn't read properly and you run into some problems.
Generally, what is the amount, like the percentage we pay to an attorney?
It's safe to say maybe 4-ish, 3.5, 4, but again, negotiate. Yeah. The last time, sorry? 3.5 to 4%, I think it's guaranteed. Right, and that's reasonable, but I've seen as low as 2. You know, people will tell you that there are a lot of attorneys graduating from law school now, so the market is filled. It's a buyer's market, you know, in all respects, in real estate, in banking, buying a car. It's a buyer's market these days. You guys have the power. Well, I'm assuming most of you would be the purchaser. But the issue of fees and the costs and things, negotiate. That would be my word to you.
All right. You have any questions for him? Yeah?
Is there a difference between a vacant land requirement versus a land with a house on it requirement?
Thanks. There is. You are correct. Buying vacant land let's use residential property. We'll only finance it if you plan to build on it within 3 years, I think. No, don't quote me. But you have to be in a position to show us that you are able to build on it. We'll lend you the money to build on it also, but we do not finance raw land just for investment purposes, meaning you're going to buy it, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it as yet. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't finance those types of properties.
Oh, wow. Paris.
Construction. Okay. We just recently restarted our home builder loan product, as we call it.
Home builder loan.
Home builder loan. The construction, I'm sure most of you are aware, a lot of these financial crises that took place, even the great 2008 crash, the genesis of them is usually real estate. Overbuilding, real estate is big money. So banks, or I should say Scotiabank, has been very circumspect over the years in financing construction. I'll tell you a little bit of that reason why. I've had situations where just building a wall, if you leave that guy to build a wall and he says it's $1 million to build a wall, when you come back the wall is in the wrong place, it's too low. A customer of mine the other day, she actually went with her, and we stepped into the place and I said, but you're sure why you have this staircase here? And she stood back a little, went to the plan, and the next thing I know, she had to ask me to excuse her, and she went to some choice words with the guy who is doing it. It just was in the wrong place, and it had to be hit down and redone. Wow. So to answer your question, sorry, or didn't even bother to try. And I'm sure those of you who have done construction already know that sometimes there are real challenges. If you do get a good person, it can go quite smoothly. So we do home builder loans, similar requirements, where we'll do up to 95% again. It's done in tranches. You're approved for $50 million. You need your surveyor, you need your quantity surveyor, and we disperse the money as you progress. So at each stage of the game, the QS goes in, certifies that yes, he's gotten $20 million or $10 million worth of work. You can give him the next 10 or 20. Caveats for home builder, it is a little bit, I shouldn't say it's a little bit, it is a much longer process. The persons who you get to do the loan, the building for you, also come under a lot of scrutiny from the bank. As I said, we have just recently restarted it, so we're going very carefully. If you, for example, we know in Jamaica, you can just get a contractor man and he can do a thing for you.
You have a specified list of people we have to choose from?
Usually, if the builder, or as we call him, is listed on the, I think it's the Master Builder's website. They have some way of being certified. We will finance projects being undertaken by persons with a proven track record. Okay. But again, I come back to negotiation. Fine, I don't want to use this guy who is, he helped to build the Devon house, and he's a really high-priced guy. But I have somebody who has done 10 properties before. I can show you them. He has references, proven track record. Maybe he's a customer of Scotiabank, so we know him. It can be done. But generally speaking, for your own protection, we usually recommend that you use certified persons. And the process is the same. You would, you have to come to us with all your approvals, parish council approval, plans approved. What else? I think we require service lots, meaning there's a road to it, or you have the ability to build the road. So, in a nutshell, it's a much longer process than just buying a pre-constructed building. But the short answer is yes, we do it, and the process is basically the same. come to us, tell us what you think it's going to cost. The more precise you can be with the cost, the better it will be for us, because you have the plans and you have the detailed cost, so we can use it to decide whether you can afford it. Sorry, go ahead.
You said, tell us how much it's going to cost. Can you estimate the cost, or do you have to have a QS?
You have to have a QS. Yeah. But again, what I say to persons, again, maybe you don't even need to go there. We are experienced people. You are experienced. You can come and say, Mr. Wigan, come look on this lot for me, and you describe what you want to do. Maybe you have done it before, so you have a pretty fair idea what it's going to cost. So go and have that discussion before we get into the very formal business now of asking you to go and get the QS and the plans done up, because that's expensive.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go and do all of that. And when you get to the bank, you say, you know, we can't do this.
In terms of the quantity surveyor, do they also take a percentage of what the land is valued at, or is generally a price for their time? If you had them out there for 2 hours.
Right. I'm not certain, but as far as I know, they have a rate that they charge.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's a question. There's a question in the front here.
Go ahead.
In terms of qualifying for a mortgage, thank you. In terms of qualifying for a mortgage, do you have like different types? So imagine I get a residential mortgage, yeah, I'm going to live in it, and then something happens and I decide, you know what, I'm going to rent this. Are there any penalties for that?
You don't tell me, I didn't hear that.
Okay, thank you.
Because she might be in one of those buildings that, you know, it's a mixed use, and she noticed a medical facility on floor 1, and she was living on floor 2, so she just converted to a hairdressing business.
We're not aware of it.
So does that mean that you do, like in the UK, we have something called buy-to-let mortgages? So
something called?
Buy-to-let mortgages. So
right.
You're buying it to let it. You cannot live in it.
Right.
Do you do mortgages like that?
We do, however, we do that on our, what we call our business side. So that's a commercial venture, and the interest rates are a little higher, somewhere in the 8-9% or more, because a property being used for commercial purposes, meaning you're renting it or whatever, it's a higher risk. You know, your tenants tend not to take care of the place as much as you would. So your primary residence is the one that will go overboard to try and finance, because you're not going to let your primary residence go to ruin.
Or vacation home, right?
Vacation home, yeah, same thing. Mm-hmm.
Any other question? One more in the back.
Sure.
She's going to send the mic. 1 second.
For financing on a vacation rental, do you take the income from the rental in consideration for qualification?
Excellent question. The short answer would be no. However, let's assume you had another property in the same community or close by, or you've been doing it before, so you have a track record of collecting. So we can better assess how feasible it is for you to rent that property and what your income is likely to be. So you may be able to provide me with, you know, 12 months worth of bank statements showing what you've been earning on this property right here. So I would be probably willing to maybe look at a discounted amount for the property beside it. So let's say you have earned $12 million over the past year renting this property. You want to buy this one. You know, I wouldn't use the $12 million income. I would say, okay, let me assume that the place is going to be empty half the time, or sometimes the tenant doesn't pay, so I'll use a discounted amount. However, your best bet in any loan at all is your primary source of income. So persons who want to buy to rent, which we don't do, and this is official. So you're buying your vacation home, okay? We're going to look at, we would prefer then, maybe that's the word to use, we would prefer to rely on your established income. So you have your medical practice or you have earnings elsewhere. So even if that place is, you get vexed and say, boy, these tenants dirtying up my place, you know, I'm going to lock it up. And you lock it up for 6 months. But you're earning enough from your regular income that you can service the mortgage. You know, that's up to you. You can lock it up if you like. So to answer the question, we can factor in rental income. However, it's discounted and it's a harder sell because a lot of times it's unproven. You know, it's the first time you're going to rent it, so we're not sure how it's going to do. But if you have a track record already, we can use a discounted amount of the rental once you can show us that this is what I've been earning from it.
Can the track record be from the previous owner?
Sorry?
Can the track record be from the previous owner?
Sure.
Can I just ask a little extension on that? So imagine...
One moment, just wait for the mic.
Thank you.
Ready?
So imagine you're overseas, okay, in my case in the UK. I've got a full-time job. I have a buy-to-let property as well as my own. And I paid my taxes for my buy-to-let property. Can I use the income from there as well?
You can.
Right, and you would take that into
You
consideration?
can. Yeah. Again, we tend to discount it, but if it's, these things are you know, subjective sometimes and based on our assessment. So you have that place, you have it for 10 years and you have it, maybe you have a long-term rental, you know, it's rented to a company, it's always occupied. Yeah, we're more comfortable with that. However, I may ask you, and you say, how many tenants have you had in the past 6 months? You say, I've had six tenants. Yeah. Right.
I have another question.
Oh, sure.
Self-employed.
Sure.
You talked about income required for, you know, regular person with a job, pay slips. Self-employed individual, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can't see you.
What is required?
For self-employed persons?
Yes.
Okay. To determine the income of a self-employed person, always a challenge here in Jamaica. Let me start with the overseas, which is usually a little easier. We ask them for, if it's in the US, we say send in your W-2 or your tax returns, whatever it is. We can usually rely on that. Here in Jamaica, boy, we say, okay, give me your tax returns. Say, boy, if I give you that, I'm a pauper based on the tax return, but you're not a pauper. So we say, okay, financial statements. Boy, I haven't done any financial statements in a while. But let me be serious, we use your audited financial statements usually, and along with your bank statements. So that's generally how we would determine the income of a self-employed person. The challenges we have, and you know, we try to encourage small business persons, especially nowadays. The bigger businesses tend to be well organized and have, you know, we're able to determine their income. For the smaller persons, they don't lodge all their money, so the money is not passing through the account. You know, I've had higglers back in the day. You know, as young as I look, I've been in banking for many years. And they used to make good money. Have a nice house up Jack's Hill, but there's no money going to her account. And she buys US every day. But guess what she does? She's not leaving the stall. So she has her second go to Western Union or wherever and buy the, and so all the receipts are in the friend's name. It's her money, but we are trying to be creative to say, okay, we must be able to prove that you are earning money, because she does. She have a nice stall and she employ people. So we had to say to her, you know, best bet, especially nowadays, deposit the money even if you draw it out the following day. You can use your card, you can, because for the self-employed person, especially the very small business person, and we hear the complaint all the while that the banks now help them and the bank now do nothing. When you are to determine their income, it's next to impossible. 3 different accounts. I had one the other day, but you know, I can go and talk about this thing forever, because small business is one of my pet projects. My background is in business lending, not so much personal lending, which is what mortgages are about. So, you know, I said, Mr. Jones, no money passing through your account. He said, Mr. Wigan, His wife is on this account, so him can make sure know how much money she earns. This is a serious thing. So
he has another account that he
so
has
he
opened.
has another account in another name, yes. So the money is split up all over the place. You know, so we have to now ask him to print this, print that, print and bring it. Takes forever. We have to go through it trying to figure out what is personal from what is business. So once you're organized as a business person and you can show me your income, because whenever I get a customer, I tell him, listen, you got $250,000 a month, you can manage it. Most people know whether or not they can manage it. The next step now is to demonstrate that you can manage it. Because no money not in the account, but he's driving a nice vehicle, he owns 3 other properties, but
the paper can't prove it.
yeah, they keep a lot of cash. You know, you have clients who you know, they let the supplier come to their business place and collect the cash to avoid coming to the bank with it. So he takes goods from the supplier, he sells the goods and has the cash in his store, and the supplier, when the supplier is to get paid, he just pays the supplier. So that money never goes to the bank. So as far as I'm concerned, his income is zero. All right, so.
Hold on, send the mic, please.
I just wonder roughly about how much business do you do with overseas residents looking to purchase homes in Jamaica?
In Jamaica.
Yeah.
It's difficult to give you an overall figure, but it's a very small percentage of the entire mortgage portfolio. However, what we do find is that the overseas persons buy the higher end properties. So where I may do 10 mortgages for, you know, $15 and $20 million houses, I can share with you that, well, unfortunately it was my branch, but there is a client who just did a mortgage for 200 million Jamaican, the equivalent, buying a villa here on the north coast. So we do a fairly small percentage of the mortgages, because most of the mortgages that we do are for residences, people buying a home.
All right, any additional question? We have room for one more. Okay, all right, 2. Let's
Two?
go. Yes,
Sure,
and
go
we
ahead.
haven't heard a question from you.
Hello, I just want to piggyback off the construction loan question.
Okay.
Do you guys do what in the States is called a construction perm loan?
A construction
Construction?
Perm.
Explain how it works.
So for instance, I buy a property for cash, so I have no mortgage on it, but I want to renovate it. So can I go to Scotia, get a loan to do the renovation that automatically rolls into a longer term mortgage altogether?
Yes, you can get a loan to do the renovation, but we wouldn't give you 30 years for that.
Okay, so no construction perm
No,
type structure.
right, if you call it. So the longest term loan you would get to do renovation is probably a 5-year loan.
Is that shorter? All right, red shirt.
Yeah, Mr. Cary.
Yeah, man.
All right, so this is my situation.
Oh.
I'm already building, but it might come to a point where I might need a loan. So
To the point where what?
where I might need a loan
Oh, sure.
to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
How that work? I have contract up to belting already.
Right, okay.
And I have the quantity survey, the engineer, it done right.
Okay.
Yeah.
The challenge with those, it can be done.
Yeah.
Okay. Challenge we have is that the bank does not like to use unfinished buildings as security. However, it could be considered an ongoing home builder loan. So what we would do in a case like that is to look at what you have so far, of course with the proper documentation to say how much more you need to finish it. And right. So just to give you a little example, the more livable it is,
Okay, yeah.
the more likely you are to get funds. So something just coming out of the ground, difficult for us to finance it. Not that it can't be done.
No, but I still have income, you know what I mean? So I would use that too.
Oh, you mean to complete it?
No, what I'm saying, I still have income, so I would, you know, like...
Yeah, man, sure. Well,
Yeah.
as I started
Work
out, you
and
know,
work.
if you have no income,
Yeah.
we don't even bother. We say hi and goodbye.
Yeah, so it just wouldn't be it wouldn't be the building as collateral.
Oh, it wouldn't be the building as collateral?
Not just the building, but
okay.
Additional.
Additional, fine. And you have situations too where I'm building here, but maybe I own another property over here. I can use that property. So yeah, so there are options all over. Yeah, man.
All righty. One more? Final? Okay, so if there are no more questions for Cary on the process of getting our mortgage loans, whether we are on local soil or overseas, then we'd like to thank him for all the knowledge you have imparted, all the examples that you have given as well. And
I have many more too.
But it was very informative, and you broke it down in a very simplistic manner for us all to kind of take notes and understand. So thank you, Cary Wiggum from Scotia.
You're most welcome.
Oh, Cary. No, you need to say it so the people on the live can hear. Hold on.
I'm actually the branch manager at Scotiabank Negril. So email Cary, C-A-R-Y.
How long people am writing Cary? Ready? C-A-R-Y.
I thought you guys were recording. C-A-R-Y. Dot Wiggum, W-I-G-G-A-N at scotiabank.com. Everybody in Scotiabank, our emails are first name, dot last name at scotiabank.com. So once you know our name, you have our email address. And
link up Cary.
Yeah, man.
Get those.
I can give you my my cell too. It's 876-3. I don't call myself that often. 382-4092. 382-4092. I think so. Somebody dial it and see.
But you have the email, so whether it's
right. Oh, easy way to check my email address. My telephone number.
*12. Oh, it's on the business card.
My business card. Most persons call me on my personal number. 4078. Okay. 78, yeah. Get rid of the 92. It's 382-4078. I bet you nobody will forget it now.
You just watched a clip from ThropX 2022. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more, click right here. Or right here.